Hey everybody, how's it going? On today's video, we are going to be talking about a LitRPG that I recently finished, and that LitRPG is called One More Plow, a Minotaur Farming LitRPG Book 1. This is written by Exemplar, performed by Jonathan Keeble, and the audiobook length is 16 hours and 36 minutes, and it's published by Podium Audio. This is a very interesting, well-done book, but I did have some hiccups before I decided to pull the trigger and spend a credit on this. One of the things was the name and the cover art on Audible. They just first made me at just a side glance. I was like, man, what is this? This is kind of like, it seems like a romance novel that I'm just not interested in. But after, again, seeing the name Jonathan Keeble, if you're not familiar, he does a lot of work with the Black Library for Warhammer 40k. So he does like some narrations, voices, audio dramas in that universe, and does a really good job. And I've really enjoyed his work. And so I was like, no way, no way. So I dig even deeper by going and reading the description, which I was, again, just interested even more. And then on Audible, they have a little like snippet of the book. And so I listened to the sample, and I just was like, I was already laughing at that point. This was like just such a great book already. And I was like, okay, I got to go get a credit and spend it. So I did. And I was like not disappointed at all. This was a great book and highly, highly recommend it to those that would like this as I explain it. So let's get into some of a little bit more about the book. So this is someone that's isekai'd into a Minotaur's body. The Minotaur is Garrick. The Minotaur died, and then kind of like if you've ever read Beware of Chicken, the character died, and then the character that was being isekai'd into that body just like took over that body. So that's what happened in this. Garrick was this blood rage, warrior Minotaur, and he died. And then this character from Earth was isekai'd into his body, just shoved in there. And as he like came to and realized what was going on and where he found himself, he was like, I don't want anything to do with the bloodlust that Garrick had, and he just getting levels and going into wanting more levels into just mass destruction and killing. He's like, nope, I want to go farm. So he leaves the war camp that he's at, goes buy some land, and starts his farm. And just a whole bunch of shenanigans, adventures that just on this farm, and the twists and turns of the writing is just like, wow, this is pretty interesting. So let's get into what I really enjoyed about this. First was the story flow. The story flow was seamless. It never got jerky. You were just always, it always flowed succinctly, and you never felt like anything was forced with the story. The action and farming were very balanced. Those, he is a Minotaur. He has, in this world there are levels, and he has a lot of levels in just killing stuff and making stuff sure stays dead and that he stays alive. And it's interesting to see how he uses those abilities towards farming. And it's just really interesting. And also the farming is also interesting. That I'm not going to spoil it, but the plants he takes care of, what he starts growing, is something that is just unique and kind of it's turns its head on the situation. No, he's not just farming normal things, he's farming something not normal. But then there are spread out through the entire book points of fighting, points of where you see Garrick in action, and this guy using Garrick's body, just destroying and attacking and protecting his farm. So the action and farming, all that stuff is pretty balanced, and I really enjoy both sides. I didn't mind coming into this thinking it was just more like a cozy lit RPG. This Minotaur decides to, this guy gets isekai'd into a Minotaur's body and decides just to farm. I was comfortable to just go with that, but with the action and farming balance, it just made this even more interesting, more worthwhile. So the next thing was character development. You're introduced to not too many characters, but enough characters to where the ones that mattered are fleshed out, I would say pretty well. in my limited writing, or just my experience of consuming a lot of audiobooks. I really enjoyed how they fleshed these characters and the interaction in between each of the characters. Again, I mentioned Jonathan Keeble performed this. He does a fantastic job. I love his voices, especially for certain characters, just to hear, because I have listened to him in 40K audio dramas and narrations, and he's just to hear some of that bleed through into the One More Plow Minotaur Farming LitRPG book. It just it just made me smile. I was like, oh, I've heard this before. I've heard this voice before, and so it was just it was pretty cool to see his performance and how well he did it, and it just went really well. Next is again the last thing I guess I put down is the farming. The farming just blew me away, and how they decided to do it, and how to go about that, which was pretty darn cool. Now, some cons that I would say, I guess if I'm not saying this book is for everybody, that some people just, you need to be careful on if you want to get into this book, I guess, is if you're not into the farming aspect or the world building or farmhouse building, probably won't be for you. There is action, but there's that farming aspect, and if that's something that you're just not interested in, then I wouldn't even bother with it, I guess. But yeah, there's the cozy lit art. It just basically, if you don't like the kind of cozy-esque lit RPG that is going to be woven into this story, this is probably something not for you. But I really would recommend that you go ahead and give it a try, because I think it is a phenomenal book and performed phenomenally, written phenomenally, and I cannot wait until the second one. And I hope the cover art changes, because I think this is a really good book, and I've shared this on social media, and some people have thought the same thing, like, hey, is this a romance novel? I'm like, no, this is not. This is a great book, and you should just read the description, listen to the sample, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So yeah, that is my take on One More Plow, a Minotaur Farming Lit RPG Book 1. And so I hope this recommendation finds you a good place. Let me know in the comments what you're listening to right now, what audiobooks you're listening to. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this recommendation gets you into a next book that you just really enjoy. So without further ado, I will talk to you guys later. Toodles!